unless I can get it going. I think we're good.
I think we are good.
So good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your patience. We had a few little technical difficulties along the way, but we appreciate y'all being here. And we are so excited to have Mr. Construction here with us today. Maya and Alex will be giving a presentation, and they'll share with you a little bit about themselves, and then just a day in the life of what it's like to be an engineer with Mr. Construction. So thank y'all for being here.
Sure. Thank you so much for the invitation. My name is Maya Turner, and Alex Funk is on the line too via my cell phone speakerphone. So sorry for the technical difficulties we're having. Alex, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi guys. I'm Alex. I'm an Auburn graduate. I graduated in 2017. I'm a project engineer too for Messer Construction up here in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been working with them for about two and a half years now. I'm on my second true project now. Maya was my project manager on my last project. I guess kind of giving you guys a little rundown of me. I had a couple of internships in college, probably themselves. I worked for a small company called Ranger Construction for my first 2 years in college during the summer. Then Carroll Daniel Construction out of Georgia, and then Balfour Beatty Construction in Charlotte. And all three of those companies kind of differed. Small, medium, large company. I worked on upfits for Balfour Beatty on high rises, and Ranger Construction was industrial upfits. For Carroll Daniel, I worked on senior living facilities and just regular old commercial buildings around the town of Gainesville, Georgia. And yeah, that's basically a little rundown of myself.
Yeah, for my background, I'm originally from Knoxville, Tennessee. I attended the University of Tennessee and got my bachelor's and master's in civil engineering in 2008, and in 2009. I began my first co-op rotation with Messer in school in Cincinnati in 2005, and was going back and forth from 2005 to 2008. Some of my co-ops included just the estimating department in our Cincinnati region. Also, the next rotation was the Children's Hospital Special Projects. And then I co-opted in Knoxville for the last two at Pellissippi State Community College and at the University of Tennessee Clement Hall. So I started full-time with Messer in 2009, right after I graduated, and I've been with Messer ever since. And then, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, if you want, I can go into kind of the day in the life of a project engineer, if that works for you guys. Yeah, so basically, project engineer, same as a project assistant project manager for some of the other companies. We just call it project engineer with Messer. A lot of other companies do the same. But basically, for a project engineer, kind of when it comes to pre-con and construction, there's a little bit of differences in what we're doing. For the pre-con phase of any project, the project engineer generally is working on starting up the schedule, seeing what they can do with that, going through submittals. We vet a lot of the subcontractors through I²Foot, a software that helps us check out their pre-qualifications. Since some of our projects are CSIP, which is a contractor-controlled insurance policy. We do a lot of work with BIM. So on my last project, I was able to help manage the 3D coordination, where we get the BIM drawings from the design team, and then my MEP subs then throw in their design for it, and we see if it all works out and check the clashes. run through permitting, making sure we have all the proper permits before we start work. That's basically it for pre-con. For the construction side, it all depends, I guess, with Messer on what your skills are and where you want to learn. For me, day in the life during the construction phase, I'd be doing a lot of quality checks on work. We use some software called Field View and Team, kind of like Procore, if you guys seen that before. Field View is kind of like our quality check. It's basically doing a punch list throughout the project during the duration of the project, where I can find something wrong, damaged door frame. I can take a picture of it, mark the subcontractor whose responsibility it is to fix that, and give them a duration, a time frame to fix it, and it helps us with the documenting of those quality issues. I do a lot of safety. It helps if you're OSHA 30 certified, which I know a lot of you guys are taking those classes, so that's a big deal. Owner satisfaction, specifically on my job, I'm working on the Vanderbilt a pulmonary and GI facility. It's kind of at a satellite facility of the main campus. And with that, I'm dealing with the head of construction coordination for Vanderbilt, and I'm dealing with their owner's rep as well, basically on a day-to-day basis. And you just try to keep them happy. That's a big part of the job, as well as the design team with the architect and the engineers. I do a lot of scheduling updates. So a big thing coming out of Auburn is the fact that we teach you guys scheduling, because that is huge if you have that knowledge going into the field. So I handle a lot of the scheduling. We use a software called Phoenix, kind of like P6 or Primavera if you're using that. Daily logs throughout the day, just stating what other people are doing. We have daily pod meetings that I run on the site. We also have weekly work plan meetings, which is the next week's activities, just all the subcontractors together so we know if we're missing anything. Commissioning for a building, making sure the MEP, FP systems are exactly what was in the plans and specs, making sure the sequence of that is all working. RFIs, that's basically what it is to be a product engineer for Messer Construction.
Yeah, I guess let's take some questions first before I continue with the group. If anybody has any questions about your day-to-day routine. Nope, hearing none. I don't know if Alex, you want to talk more about the project on now.
Yeah, sure. So like I said, it's a pulmonary and GI facility. Basically, Vanderbilt took over this mall here in Nashville called the 100 Oaks Mall. And they've been slowly but surely upfitting some of the stores and turning them into, hospital facilities. So there's like an internal medicine, there's a pharmacy, there's there's phlebotomy, a couple of different of those practices at Vanderbilt that turned this mall into like a big hospital, but in the shape of a mall. But I'm working on mine specifically. It's got a lot of operating rooms, a lot of exam rooms. The GI side, that's gastrointestinal. So that means I have a lot of exam rooms that have separate bathrooms in each one. So I have a lot of wet walls in the project, a lot of plumbing. We got our HVAC system is run off VAVs. So we got about 80 VAVs in the building. We just hooked up our last 4 today. So we're just making sure, hoping and praying those work. A big deal with mine is, if you guys ever come to this, it's probably a good idea you asked me, but we're putting in an elevator pit inside of an existing building. And so in order to do that elevator pit, we have to do it piecemeal, basically. So one, we have to bust out all the rock because in Nashville, the whole town is built on blue stone, basically. So we're busting out rock under a basement right now. And then we have to build just one side of our elevator shaft all the way up in order to do a mechanical chase that will then in turn help us demo out an existing mechanical chase that feeds the store. And then we can build our other two walls. So we're trying to go through that process of how do we do this safely? How do we do it? The schedule impact is pretty significant. Basically working back from the day that the elevator equipment arrives on site to the day that we're supposed to, start working on our wall is what we're looking at for how much, float time do we have between us working on the wall and the, equipment getting here. That stuff's a pretty big deal. Setting a new rooftop unit on top, feeding our second floor. That's basically it. The rest of it's pretty easy, I'd say. It's easy when you say it out loud. Here.
Yes, that's definitely one of our challenging projects in Nashville. Any renovation has its own set of challenges. So Alex being part of that team definitely is crucial to its success.
Thanks, Maya.
I guess, do you want to maybe talk about your interaction with subcontractors, how your background in Auburn helped with that, or your co-op experience in the past helped with your interaction?
Yeah. I'd say a big thing, having those internships and already being comfortable talking with subcontractors, that's a big deal. I know it's not like necessarily mandatory to get an internship in the building science degree, but it's relatively not probably now, but relatively pretty easy over the years to get one. I know we're fishing for students coming out of college with that degree. But yeah, as long as you're, you kind of already have that mindset of, some of these subcontractors, they're not going to be nice, but you just got to play the game. You got to, pick your battles. It's things like that. I'd say at Auburn, knowing the systems, the fact that we go through the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing in those classes is so important. Because then when you get in the field, you already have that base level knowledge, which a lot of those subcontractors looking at you like a GC think that maybe you don't, especially from your age too. But once you can throw some of that knowledge that you learned in those classes, then they respect you a lot more. So that was a big thing that I was really glad I got that experience at Auburn to help me out here in the field.
All right, I'm asking some more questions. What was one of your best days out in the job site? Your most satisfying day?
Oh, I'd say when you and I were at Motlow State and we finally got that, I don't know how excited you were, but we got that TCO. I was real pumped about that one.
Okay, explain to them what a TCO is, because that is very important on a project.
Yeah, so temporary certificate of occupancy kind of depends. I guess for us, we were working on a community college in Smyrna, Tennessee, a little town outside of Nashville. The TCO is really important because that's the date we can start moving in their furniture. The owners really like that because they want to start moving in that furniture as soon as possible. There's certain kind of rules and regulations. It's not necessarily saying that it is a certificate of occupancy. Like you can't start having it as it is a college, you can't start having students come to class necessarily, but you can have the faculty, anybody into the building who's they want to get their rooms ready, they can. So there's just a couple of, you usually got to go by. With us for our TCO, just the fire marshal coming out and checking your fire-rated door frames, You got the fire department coming out, making sure your main fire line, the FDC, has all the proper equipment on it. The correct pieces are on there, I guess. You know, it's just little small things, but that TCO is really big for the project. It's a huge milestone. I know you guys probably in scheduling throw some TCO dates, TCO activities in there as a milestone. That's what it is. It's pretty important. Almost as good as getting the CO.
Yes, agreed. I don't know if anything else you'd like to add. I was going to talk about some just some overall messer items, but anything else?
I would say really get into, even if you don't think you want to, you know, BIM is not your favorite thing, dealing with Revit, I'd say definitely have that knowledge of Revit, because as even now, you know, it might seem like it's something a couple of companies might do, but in the future, that thing is going to be absolutely important. And on my project now, we weren't able to do a coordination drawing. And the fact that we weren't able to do that is it doesn't help, because we run into clashes in the field all the time. So if you ever have the chance, work on that 3D model and get one for your project, you go ahead and get it, because it's going to do you a lot of favors down the road.
And what we like to do is have all the project engineers on the project actually manage that process, like Alex said. Number one, it gives you that first experience of managing the modelers, so those subcontractors. And number two, mechanical and electrical systems are probably the most unique and complicated systems in a project. So to throw you right into that will help you learn the quickest and help you understand the drawing, especially if you see it in a 3D world. You'll be able to understand it in the 2D plans. So that's one thing that project engineers always will be in charge of. And definitely BIM is just expanding. It's not going away. It's getting actually just getting bigger with clients and owners. Well, I'll just step through a few messer items overall. I want to start out with a quote from our president and CEO, Tim Steigerwald, about the messer difference. He says, "We seek individuals who want to grow and take Messer to the next level. Our employee-owned structure creates a unique culture that's entrepreneurial and empowers our employees to be leaders. Employees are challenged to do what's right to meet the needs of our customers, communities, and for each other. This keeps Messer competitive in the marketplace now and well into the future." Our core safety values. Want to make sure I read this, because this is what is the foundation of Messer. We believe no job, task, or schedule is more important than the health and safety of people on or near the job site. We are responsible for and take action to ensure our own safety and the safety of those around us, and we will return every person home to their families safely each day. So it's important that I share that with you all, because safety is number one. It kind of goes safety, quality, and then production. Because if safety and quality are in line, production will also meet the expectations as well. Messer Construction was founded in 1932. Right now, we have about 1.41 billion of sales, about 1,400 employees. We're on the top 100 contractors engineering news record. And we also support our community. In 2019, we gave $2.26 million to our communities in our different regions. Our regions include Columbus, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, which is the main office, Dayton, Ohio, Indianapolis, Indiana, Lexington, Kentucky, Louisville, Kentucky, Charlotte, North Carolina, our new office in Raleigh, North Carolina, that was just opened up this year, or last year rather, Knoxville, Tennessee, and Nashville, Tennessee, where me and Alex are both employed at. Some of our key clients are specific to key market segments. I like to say we build complex buildings We don't build any buildings that are like, Walmarts or box stores or fast food. We want to have complex buildings for our clients, and our key market segments are aviation, federal and military, healthcare, which is the 100 Oaks job Alex was speaking about, higher education, industrial, and science and technology. We are an employee-owned company. So it means that 100%, we've been 100% employee-owned since 1990. So Messer makes all of the monetary contribution toward that employee ownership. And it is the way that we can kind of take ownership of what we do on a day-to-day basis, knowing that our decisions in the field will impact our ESOP benefits each year. So if we make smart decisions and watch our expenses and increase our projects, then our retirement fund will only grow. And we have more, we can manage our deliverables a little differently because we're not answering to a board of directors for our results. We're just answering ourselves, which is probably more strict. For our co-op programs, we employ over 130 co-ops each year. The majority of our co-ops accept a full-time position after graduating. I am a product of being a Messer co-op. Our past presidents have all been Messer co-ops. A lot of our senior leadership have been Messer co-ops. So it's a very strong pipeline from Messer co-oping to full-time employment. And it actually changed my decision from wanting to get into construction management. As I said before, my degree is in civil engineering. And when I was in school, my thought was to be a structural designer. I started co-oping with Messer, and they totally changed my path. And I saw that I really enjoy construction management way more than design. So I jumped on that team of construction managing. For career opportunities, our co-ops would be either project engineer route. We have some co-ops in our building systems groups, which is the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, engineering group. And then we do have some co-ops in our virtual construction engineering as well, which is the BIM. Just on the employee side, we do have employee engagement opportunities for not only full-time, but co-op employees as well. That doesn't only include social items, but it also includes community service projects like construction and walks for charitable organizations. And then we do go to some sporting events and happy hours and things of that nature. But we want to make sure that we have a culture of like a small family type of construction culture. So we make sure that the employees are engaged, whether community service or just social. In Nashville, we've built several projects. We've been here for, I think, 15 years or more, maybe even longer. We built a lot of projects for the Tennessee Board of Regents, who is the owner of a lot of the community colleges in the state of Tennessee, as well as some of the four-year colleges. Currently, we're at Vanderbilt University doing a Peabody project and renovation at their Peabody campus. We have multiple Vanderbilt Medical Center projects also going on. We continue to stay at the Nashville Airport, and we have a large project there now finishing up. I think it's a 5 or 6 level parking garage, and then a 3-story office structure on top of that. So that's a very big, sizable project. Hundreds of people were at the job site at the peak of that schedule. And also, we're going to be building the Nashville MLS Soccer Stadium, which is the Major League Soccer stadium that's moved to Nashville. That work gets underway in the next month or two. So we are all about complex jobs and pleasing our clients and making sure that our employees have a path to grow. Any questions? That's just a quick overview. I don't want to take too much of your time.
Maya, can you hey, go ahead. I think I'm repeating. What advice would you give to students students who are trying to narrow down their job search?
Could you say that last part again?
What advice would you give to students who are trying to narrow down their job search?
I would say to not only do your research online of those particular companies, but if you have the opportunity to even, I hate to say make a cold call, but to speak to somebody at that company, to just ask them, say, you know, who you are and what university you go to, and say you're interested in the company. Is there someone you can talk to more about what they do? I think that's a way to really get the one-on-one before you go to the career fair and decide if that company is a company you would like to work with. So I think the more knowledge you have about a company, the better off you be able to get a position, whether it's co-op or full-time, because we'll see that you've done your research and that you're really interested in us. So. Any other questions? Or Alex, do you have any funny moments? There's a lot of funny moments on the construction job. We do have fun. It's not all stress at all. We do have a good time and enjoy working with our contractors. So you have a funny moment you think of that's appropriate?
I don't know. Appropriate. I'd say, you know, there's plenty of ways to skin a cat, I guess is how you put it, though. There's ways to, you know, you can take your job very seriously, you know, and you can get it all done, or you can, you know, have a good time with it. And I mean, all the contractors on site, they all, you know, they'll respect you either way, as long as, you know, you're showing them what you know, and you know that, you know, you're not overstepping your bounds, I'd say. But they all like to have a good time, you know. I mean, I can't think of any really solid, good, funny ones. I do have a good, funny picture of Maya talking to somebody on stilts, but that's for another time, I guess.
Well, why don't you also answer the question about advice to students who are just graduating to narrow down job search? What did you do?
Yeah, so I mean, I was, as you know, you when you're interviewing, obviously they're interviewing you, but you kind of make the rules yourself. It's something that I would tell everyone else, you know, if you're doing interviews, you know, it's what you want. You know, it's just ask the right questions that you know for fact. Well, like if you get whatever the answer is, that's, you know, it is what it is, you know. But I would say asking the right questions, making sure that you're okay with traveling, stuff like that. I know with Messer we don't do a lot of traveling, so that was a big one that caught my eye. I really appreciated that. But yeah, just kind of, you know, make your list, things that you would want to see in the company that you're gonna, you know, try to work for, and ask about those questions. You know, you don't have to be afraid. If it's something, you know, like, oh, what's the company's revenue? Like, how much are you making? You know, if that's something that interests they're making now, so I know that when I get hired on, they're going to have another new project for me, or somewhere they could put me. It's stuff like that. The revenue and the making sure that they keep you where you are was a big one, a big seller for me with Messer.
Yeah, we always say we work where we live.
Yeah.
Or we live where we work, either way. But we do stay local to the region that we are assigned to, which was a plus for me for staying as well, because I like to be rooted in my community with friends, family, and organizations that I'm a part of. So that was really important to me as well. I didn't think about asking the revenue question.
You know, you want to make sure the company you're going to work for is believing that they're going to make more money than they did the year prior. So that's a big one. I will say on a side note, for those, if these are students that are working on thesis, I know thesis seems like, it's hard, it is, 24/7, you're thinking about thesis. That was a great, that helped me out a lot in, the job in the field, because a lot of that is exactly what you do out here, pre-con, a lot of that work all that due diligence you guys do, it's very important, once you get into your actual career to know that knowledge. And I'd say as an Auburn student with the degree, a building science degree, when you're coming out of college, not to brag my or anything like that, but when you're coming out of college, you already have a strong base of what you need to know for working out, working for a construction company. So if you feel nervous that you might not know enough, if you're just comparing yourself to other Auburn students, then you're fine, because you already know a lot more than a lot of other kids coming out who might not actually have a construction degree. No offense, my civil engineer.
That's fine. I co-opted with Messer to get that construction experience that I missed from my classes that weren't offered, that you were offered.
Yeah. Thanks, Auburn.
Any other questions? Because that is all I have on. Thank you for the opportunity to just talk about what we do on a day-to-day basis. And we are a staple at the career fairs and job fairs each year. So Alex has been there for the past 2 years or so. So you will see Alex or another Messer person there. And when we are there, we are actually ready to hire somebody for co-op or full-time, not just there to be there. So we make sure that we have the appropriate people there to answer the right questions.
Well, thank you to both of y'all for everything that y'all done to provide guidance to our students and let them know what it's like just on a day-to-day basis to work for your company. We appreciate your partnership, and we appreciate your interest in hiring our Auburn students. So thank y'all for your time, and we hope that we will be able to see you on campus this fall.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It's a pleasure talking to you guys.